Thanks again for tuning in, guys. Today I want to cover how Trump can legally cease payments to the World Health Organization and also provide an update on the SBA program. So as predicted, Trump announced last week that he was seeking to halt all payments to the World Health Organization. I agree with this move. It makes sense given how much they failed the world in a time of need. They've claimed to be apolitical, but they're simultaneously playing politics when it comes to Taiwan and Hong Kong. They were pushing out direct CCP talking points throughout January and February, and they took China's word over Taiwan's that there was no evidence of human-to-human transmission, which was utterly false. Again, they said this on Taiwan mentioned on December 31st that they had evidence that there was, and then they were still pushing out throughout January that there wasn't direct human-to-human transmission. So anyway. I understand where the left is coming from, considering it might seem like, the World Health Organization is really well positioned to combat against the disease and any pandemics. But we can easily send aid to organizations across the globe without a bureaucracy like the World Health Organization directing where those funds need to go. So according to their actual website, WHO, they prepare for emergencies by identifying risks. So again, they failed us in that regard. They develop tools necessary during outbreaks, so I haven't heard of them producing any N95 masks. As of March 30th, or before that, I haven't heard them creating any ventilators either. So anyway, as of March 30th, they were recommending healthy individuals of the general public to not wear masks. So that doesn't really make sense to me. It doesn't seem like good advice at all. The World Health Organization also provides data, which we know hasn't been really good data. They haven't been solid because they've been taking numbers from China, which can be not inflated whatsoever, but decreased. I mean, it just came out that they're going to literally double the number of deaths that China had. So how do we believe what they already are given? So it doesn't really make sense. So furthermore, they spend money to actually promote Medicare for all across the globe. So you can actually go to their website and see that they say that one of their main things that they want to complete is universal health care for the world. So that's something that seems pretty globalist in the sense of directing people what they want and when it comes to care. I understand that people will say that universal health care is the greatest thing ever, but I could talk about a whole video about why it's not. I actually have a French wife, and I've seen both systems in place. And if you want to wait for 3 hours, 4 hours for just a routine checkup, by all means. But I've seen it in France, and it's not the best. Okay, anyway. So, what is Trump's actual recourse? He could do either of the following. He could invoke the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. This would only delay the funding it would delay the funding for 45 days until Congress would override it. So it really wouldn't work. He could, however, just appropriate the funds as he sees fit. He would get challenged by the Democrats, though, if he did this. They would either seek for impeachment or just challenge him in the courts. I did read the 2020 budget, and there was no mention of the World Health Organization in the text, but there was a chart on usaid.gov that showed a request of $58 million for 2020. It was just a requested sum, so I'm not sure if he actually has to give the amount that's requested. I think they can go below or above. Apparently, though, since the requested funds are within a pool of funds earmarked for quote-unquote global aid, it seems like the executive branch can direct where the pool of funds can go because it seems pretty broad. Again, I must add that this is going to be challenged by the Democrats. So the question really is, does Trump know something that we don't? If that's the case, and if he's willing to die on the Hill, by all means, go for it. Democrats are going to campaign hard against this, though, in the election season. So Trump just has to have some good talking points to go against the Democrat narrative of him putting the world at risk. So, again, he's going to be supported, though, by his supporters. Trump supporters are going to be 100% behind this. I'm just always worried about independents because they carry the elections. I want to make sure that they are polling well and they understand why he wants to leave or at least, stop funding because, again, they control the elections. So Trump just, he's, I think, overall taking good action. When I actually looked at the budget, he enhanced emergency preparedness by $10 million. So he increased the strategic national stockpile. He doubled literally. Actually, he added $250 million on influenza vaccine research, which, by the way, can Trump divert these funds as well towards maybe a coronavirus vaccine? Would he be challenged on that too? It's something to think about. Anyhow, the budget included also $100 million to support the CDC's global health security activities. This was an increase of $50 million from 2019. So this means that Trump doubled the efforts to fight pandemics worldwide. No one's talking about that. So if you actually take away the World Health Organization's funding from the US, which is again $58 million, that basically offsets. So in other words, we don't really need the World Health Organization to fight pandemics. So in addition, we spent $90 million on global health security, which aims to prevent, again, global epidemics. So they can direct these threats early and respond rapidly to disease outbreaks. So in other words, Trump should be reviewing how these monies are dispersed and how successful it was. It's just like Ukraine, we need to always be reviewing where our money is being spent and how it's being spent. So clearly something went wrong. So anyhow, let's just move forward to the SBA loan program. So as many as you have heard, the federal government ran out of funds to pay off the banks for loaning the funds to small businesses. This was anticipated. The first portion of the CARES Act, it was the first part of the CARES Act to actually run out of funding. So both Republicans and Democrats said this would happen, but right now it looks like Nancy and the Democrats are looking at this a different way. A lot of Democrats actually agree that this needs to be taken care of as soon as possible, but Pelosi wants to package more funding for different arenas instead of putting this imperative need first, which I believe is unethical. But, if you look at what they're actually trying to do, they're trying to increase, it's $100 billion to hospitals. They're trying to put $150 billion to local and state governments, 15% more in SNAP benefits, aka food stamps. And then within this $250 billion, they want $125 earmarked for farmers, families, women, minorities, and vet-owned businesses. And I'm sure that these are necessary and proactive measures, but I just prefer to see small businesses taken care of first since their funding is already depleted. And the loan process really isn't a short one either. Even before the first step of origination can, start, you need to fill out an inquiry form. And that form, once it's filled out, you still have to wait in a queue, and then after you're in that queue, then origination actually begins. It's gathering income documents. It's getting their business information, how many employees they have, the date of the business, when it was started, average monthly payroll, things like this. And then you have to review all that. Then you get to the verification stage, which is where the credit worthiness of the business is reviewed. A rate is established for the loan. The company's debt to income and loan to values are reviewed. Additional documents are requested by the underwriter if need be. And all in all, this process, it can take weeks. So Nancy's already setting them back by not funding the SBA loan program. And right now, banks are just no longer taking applications. So this needs to be taken care of ASAP. And I'm guessing they're going to maybe do a vote at earliest Tuesday or Wednesday. I doubt they do anything tomorrow on Monday, but we'll see what happens. Overall, I'm just looking, or at least hoping, that the two sides come together and make a deal. I'm expecting around $500 billion of additional funding to be dispersed. So we'll see how much they actually determine that is needed. But again, on Friday, I saw that 11 Democrats, at least 11, were already tweeting that they would support immediate funding without the additional pieces. But I'm hoping that they will vote on earliest maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see what happens. So that's it for today's video, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.